Hey everyone. So in today's question, number 802, find eventual safe states. Let us start by reading the question. So we have n nodes which lead to some other nodes given by a 2D array. Next we have a definition called terminal node. Terminal nodes are nodes having no outgoing edges. Then we need to find a safe node. A safe node is any node whose all the paths lead to some terminal node or eventually lead to a terminal node via some other safe node. For example, the node here 5 and 6 are terminal nodes because there are no outgoing edges from there, and 4 is a safe node because it leads to a terminal node 5. To contradict this, we have a node called 3, so we can see 3 is outgoing to 0 and 0 is leading to 2 and 1. So we already know that 2 is safe, so this path is good. But what about this path? So we'll go to 1. 1 leads to 2, 2 is safe again, and the other path is 3. So we are coming back to our original cycle. So this path will never lead to a safe or terminal node. So in this way, 3 becomes unsafe, 1 becomes unsafe, and similarly 0 becomes unsafe. So we've got 2, 4, 5, and 6 as our safe nodes or terminal nodes that we need to return in an ascending order. So this question can be done in a very similar way that I explained. We'll start with a DFS. So what we need to keep track of is that we need to check for cycles in the uh, graph. So first of all, we'll start with checking. So I'll just declare the size of the given graph. So it is here. Now for just save this, we'll say if it is 0, we'll return an empty array. Otherwise we'll need to pull arrays. First is visited. We'll check if we have already visited it, so it will be by default false and have size same as the graph. Then we also need another one to say is terminal or safe node or not. So I'm just writing terminal for simplicity. Now we need to visit all of the nodes present. So I'll just see if the node is not visited. So I'll just visit it in DFS where I'll be sending my graph itself, then the visited array or the vector, and then the is terminal vector, and finally the node that I need to visit, that is I. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Now moving to writing this DFS function. So it should be a pool type function named DFS where we have this 2D vector called graph. Next we have the pool arrays. So one thing we need to do is pass by a reference so that we don't overhead the memory, and then we have our root node that we need to check. We'll start with writing the base case where if we'll see if the node passed in the terminal node or not. That can be checked if it has no outgoing edges. So that means that the graph, that the vector at that index should be a null vector. So if the size of that vector at that index is 0, what we'll do is mark that that one as terminal, and we'll just return true, or we can simply return this, return true. Okay, now that we have checked the base case, what we need to mark next is we'll say this node is already visited, so we'll mark it true. Next we need to visit all the nodes leading from this current node, so we'll just say graph u dot size and then r plus plus. Now I'm just declaring a integer to mark the child node, so it should be graph u comma I. And now there are two cases: whether the child node is already visited. So in that case, if it is already visited, that is what we'll see, that if it is already visited, and now we need to check if the terminal was, like, if the node was safe or not, or whether it was terminal or not. So if it was terminal or safe, we are okay with this path and we can move on to the next one. Otherwise, this path, like in this case, what we are trying to say is that 3 was already visited and 3 was still false. So we got that this path is invalid, so 1 is also false and 0 is also false. So this is what we need to do. We will simply return false, right? So what we did is that the u node is not safe, right? And we need not to change the value because it is already defaulted to false. Now what if it is not visited? So we'll need to visit the graph manually. So if DFS, then we'll pass the graph, then we need to pass the visited is terminal and the child v. Okay, so yes, now what we are checking, so suppose from 2 we check if 5 is terminal or not, or from also I say from 3 if 0 is terminal or not, and if 0 returns false, that means 3 is also false, 3 is also unsafe. So if this returns false, we'll go out of this recursive function saying that this node is not safe. And if it surpasses all these cases, that means all the paths were true, like safe and led to some terminal node. So we'll just mark this node as safe, like this. Right. Now what we need to return. So I'll just make an integer vector, and we'll just define int I equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus, and if we have our node as safe or terminal, then what we need to do is we'll just push back that into an our answer. Now we just need to return this array. We'll try to run this. Yes, so it is accepted here, and next we'll submit it. So great. It is good in memory, and in like memory it is about 99.54. So I think it's a good solution. You can also try. Hope you like the solution, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.